What's up? It's James from the Research Revolution. Truth is the enemy of the state. I'm over here on Zero Hedge. What? There is a saw that comes from Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice that the truth will out, but not if government has its way. That's because truth is the enemy of the state. The state, meaning the apparatus of government, is the system that controls the American people. Most people believe they control the political system through elections. Little do they know that the government and the corporate state own and control the state and the people. In other words, the system is rigged, as Donald Trump says. The system must keep this information invisible, and it does so through constant conditioning of the public mind. Now consider what has happened and is happening to Julian Assange. Consider Edward Snowden. Assange created WikiLeaks in 2006, exposing, among other things, malfeasance in the conduct of Bush the Lesser's war on terror. Progressive Democrats loved Assange then. By 2010, with George W. Bush out of power and Barack Obama continued old wars and starting new ones, the truths that were being outed by WikiLeaks were hitting too close to home. WikiLeaks got its hands on a treasure trove of State Department and Pentagon emails and documents being dispatched across the globe. I wrote at the time in A War on Truth that WikiLeaks was revealing was the result of a secretive, unaccountable, and overpowerful government, a perfidious empire that seeks to rule the world by guile, cunning, or force if necessary. And the response by the United States government and by the authorities in some of the U.S. puppet states like Great Britain, which arrested Assange, and Sweden, which brought spurious charges of rape against him, demonstrate the length of the ruling elites will go to suppress the truth. Truth is the enemy of a totalitarian regime. Fooling, lying, spying. That is the way of a totalitarian regime. Fooling, lying to and spying on friends and enemies, and even worse, its own citizens. Just before I wrote that, we now know Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was contemplating various ways to shut WikiLeaks down. During a November meeting, sources say Clinton suddenly blurted out, "Can we just drone this guy?" According to sources present at the meeting. The statement drew laughter from the room, which quickly died off when the secretary kept talking in a terse manner, sources said. Clinton said Assange, after all, was a relatively soft target, walking around freely and thumbing his nose without any fear of reprisals from the United States. Clinton was upset about Assange's previous 2010 records release, divulging secret U.S. documents about the war in Afghanistan in July and the war in Iraq just a month earlier in October, sources said. At that time, in 2010, Assange was relatively free and not living cloistered in the embassy of Ecuador in London. Prior to 2010, Assange focused WikiLeaks' effort on countries outside the United States, but now under Clinton and Obama, Assange was hammering America with an unparalleled third sweeping WikiLeaks document dump in 5 months. Clinton was fuming, sources said, as each State Department cable dispatched during the Obama administration was signed by her. Clinton and other top administration officials knew the compromising materials warehoused in the Cablegate stash would provide critics and foreign enemies with a treasure trove of counterintelligence. Bureaucratic fears about the Cablegate release ultimately proved to be well-founded by Clinton in her inner circle and her boss in the White House. Efforts to shut WikiLeaks included an American intelligence-initiated operation to entrap Assange in a phony rape charge. The U.S. government also pressured PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard to shut down donations to WikiLeaks. The Swedish bank handling Assange's legal defense fund was pressured by the U.S. government to freeze the account. The firm hosting WikiLeaks' website was pressured to shut the site down. Now WikiLeaks is revealing widespread corruption, vote rigging, media manipulation, and other damning evidence against the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton, and her minions. WikiLeaks and Assange are prying the lid off the propaganda machine and exposing the corrupt system. Good. In response, U.S. intelligence, an oxymoron, initiated another effort to entrap Assange in a sex-related scandal, this time by connecting him with a phony dating site and alleged he solicited sex with an 8-year-old girl. John Kerry's State Department pressured Ecuador to cut off Assange's internet connection. There is a new move afoot to figure a way to pry him out of the Ecuadorian embassy in London and turn him over to U.S. authorities, where he will no doubt disappear into the bowels of indefinite detention. Only the power of propaganda keeps the people from overthrowing the U.S. government by force. So truth is the enemy of the state, and the state will do everything it can to suppress it. That's not surprising. What is surprising is the vast number of people on both sides of the political spectrum outside the government who see truth seekers and truth disseminators like Assange, Snowden, and Bradley Manning as enemies rather than friends of liberty.